English translation, faithful, no additions or omissions. In Western cities, where neon lights shine brightly enough to hide even sadness, people often live by a very civilized sentence. When everything is settled, I'll begin. When the debts are gone, I'll breathe. When I meet the right person, I'll love. When I'm confident enough, I'll step forward. When I'm perfect, I'll finally be worthy. But you know, waiting for perfection is sometimes like waiting for snow to fall in the desert. It never comes. Or if it does, your life has already passed you by. Tonight, I'll tell you a story from a very distant place. In cold, damp London, where people hide pain behind work schedules, hide fear behind business cards, hide emptiness behind expensive things. It's the story of a man who lived his entire life inside the word wanting, and almost lost everything because of one word: waiting. Only when he stood before a real crisis did he finally understand: when you want less, you suffer less. Don't wait for perfection to begin. When the mind is at peace, the world is at peace. His name was Ethan Clarke, 38 years old, creative director of a major advertising agency in London, living in Canary Wharf, driving an Audi, wearing a Swiss watch, a wardrobe full of cashmere coats he rarely had time to truly wear. Ethan was not poor, but Ethan was always lacking sleep, lacking calm, lacking the feeling that he was living rather than running. Friends often joked, "Ethan, you already have everything, don't you?" Ethan would smile, "Not yet. Not yet." That word was the rope binding him. Ethan demanded life be as perfect as his pitch decks. Presentations had to follow the exact structure. Meeting room lighting had to be the right tone. His voice had to be perfectly paced. And people had to behave according to his expectations. His girlfriend was named Sophia, an elementary school teacher, gentle, brown-eyed, slow-living. Sophia was the kind of person who could drink hot tea without rushing, who could watch rain fall and see it as a gift. Ethan was the kind of person who heard rain and thought about traffic jams. Sophia once said, "Ethan, let's go to Scotland for a weekend, just 2 days." Ethan replied without looking away from his laptop, "When this campaign is done." Sophia smiled weakly. One campaign ends, then another begins. Ethan stayed silent, not because he had no answer, but because 2 days away felt like a luxury he couldn't afford. Inside Ethan, there was always a knocking voice. "I'm not enough." And not enough turned every day into a chase. Ethan wanted more success. He wanted awards. He wanted his name in the press. He wanted handshakes filled with respect. But the deepest thing Ethan wanted, something he never said out loud, was recognition that he was worthy. Because Ethan grew up in a cold family. His father was an electrician, strict, quiet. Whenever Ethan got good grades, his father would only nod, "Good." Just one word. No hug, no praise. No, "I'm proud of you." From then on, Ethan learned a distorted way to love. You had to be excellent to be seen. And as he grew older, his wanting was no longer about money. It was about filling the hole of a child who had never been loved enough. One winter night, when Ethan came home close to 1 a.m., Sophia was still awake. She sat on the sofa, phone in hand, eyes red. Ethan frowned. "What's wrong?" Sophia held out the phone. A photo. Ethan in a bar, his arm around Mila, the creative assistant. Mila smiling. Ethan smiling. They looked like more than just colleagues. Ethan exhaled sharply. "That's nothing, just a team thing." Sophia stared straight at him. "A team thing? At 11 p.m. in a bar, holding each other?" Ethan snapped, "You're overreacting." Sophia trembled. "I'm not overreacting. I'm just tired." Ethan said curtly, "I'm tired too. I'm doing this for our future." Sophia gave a bitter smile, tears falling. "What future? One where I wait until you're done with work forever?" Ethan fell silent. Sophia stood up, her voice very soft. "I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be present." That sentence cut like a blade. Ethan replied automatically, "When things are more stable, I'll..." Sophia interrupted. "No, only when you want less will you suffer less. And me, I don't want to suffer anymore." She pulled her suitcase. Left. The door closed, and for the first time, Ethan stood in his expensive apartment and felt as empty as an abandoned room. Ethan threw himself into work to forget. But the body does not obey logic. One morning, during the most important pitch of the year, Ethan stood before clients, presenting slides. His voice was smooth. Then suddenly, his vision darkened, ears ringing, heart racing, breath gone. The slides kept playing, but his head felt like it was being crushed. Ethan collapsed in front of dozens of people. The room fell silent. Then came the hospital. The doctor said, panic attack, severe burnout. Ethan laughed dryly. Do I look like someone who panics? The doctor looked straight at him. You don't panic on the outside, you panic inside. Ethan stared at the ceiling. For the first time, he realized success could not save him from himself. A week later, Ethan was discharged. He walked along South Bank, gray sky, cold wind. Outside a bakery, he bought a sandwich. As he lifted it, a boy about 14 snatched it and ran. Ethan got angry and chased him. The boy ran into a narrow alley, slipped, fell. The sandwich dropped, dirty. The boy looked at Ethan, eyes wild like a hunted animal. Ethan was about to shout. But then he saw. The boy was so hungry his hands were shaking. Ethan stopped. Just one beat. That single beat, strangely, kept the anger from exploding. He asked, "Why did you do that?" The boy yelled, "Because I'm hungry." Ethan stood still. The boy didn't apologize. He was just surviving. Ethan pulled out his wallet, handed him money. "Go buy another one." The boy froze, stepped back. "Are you tricking me?" Ethan shook his head. "No." The boy took the money and ran. Ethan stood there, wind blowing through his coat. Inside him arose a strange question. Why did I want so much when a single sandwich could make a child trade away his dignity? That night, Ethan didn't go home. He wandered and reached a small old church in East London. The door was open, not crowded. An older man was wiping wooden benches, not a priest wearing a simple coat. Ethan asked, "Is this place open?" The man nodded. "For those who are tired, it's always open." Ethan sat down, silent. After a while, Ethan said, "I lost the woman I love. I lost my peace. I thought I was doing things right." The man looked at him. "You live by the word when, don't you?" Ethan froze. "How do you know?" The man smiled. "I used to be like you." Ethan asked, "Who are you?" "Call me Thomas." Thomas spoke slowly. "You wait for perfection to begin, but life isn't perfect. It's just living." Ethan gave a bitter laugh. "I don't know where to begin." Thomas asked, "What do you want?" Ethan answered without thinking, "I want everything back." Thomas shook his head. "Wanting too much brings suffering. You can't be at peace while gripping too tightly." Ethan stayed silent. Thomas continued, "When the mind is at peace, the world is at peace. But you demand a peaceful world so your mind can be peaceful. You've reversed it." The words felt like a slap. Thomas said, "Tomorrow, come here. Help me distribute food to the homeless." Ethan frowned. "I'm not used to that." Thomas replied, "Because you always wait to feel ready before acting. That's why you're stuck." Ethan didn't answer, but the next morning he came. In the church, homeless people lined up, damp clothes, smell of alcohol, smell of life. Ethan handed out bread and soup. A disheveled woman grabbed Ethan's hand. "Bless you." Ethan pulled his hand back reflexively. Thomas watched. "Afraid of getting dirty?" Ethan was speechless. Thomas said quietly, "Some people are dirty on the outside. Some are dirty inside. Which is more frightening?" Ethan stood frozen. That night, Ethan went home and slept the deepest sleep he'd had in years. Not because life was fixed, but because something inside him had begun to soften. A month later, Ethan texted Sophia, "I'm not asking you to come back. I'm asking you to meet me." Sophia agreed. They met in a park, cold weather. Sophia looked at Ethan. "You look different." Ethan nodded. "I want less now." Sophia smiled sadly. "Want less what?" Ethan answered honestly, "I want less control, less being right, less proving I'm worthy." Sophia stayed quiet. Ethan continued, "I'm not waiting for perfection anymore. I'm just starting to live." Sophia looked at him for a long time. Then she said something that drained the color from Ethan's face. "I'm moving to Manchester. I've accepted a proposal." Ethan felt the air pulled from his lungs. "What?" Sophia said gently. "You taught me something, not to wait." Ethan trembled. I've changed." Sophia nodded. "I believe you, but change can't pull time back." In that moment, Ethan understood the true cost of waiting. Not losing money, but losing someone who loved you when you didn't yet know how to love. Ethan stood still. Tears wanted to fall, but he held them back. Thomas had said, "When the mind is at peace, the world is at peace." But how could this world feel peaceful? Sophia lightly touched Ethan's hand. "I don't hate you. I just can't wait anymore." She left. Ethan stood in the park and for the first time didn't chase after her. He stopped, one beat, then another, and he realized peace is not keeping someone. Peace is not breaking apart when you lose them. Ethan continued working at the church. He reduced his working hours. He declined some projects. Friends said he was losing his edge. Ethan smiled. "I'm upgrading, not downgrading." One day, the boy from before, the sandwich thief, came back. He stood at the church door, awkward. Ethan recognized him immediately. "Hey," the boy bowed his head. "I'm sorry." Ethan asked, "What's your name?" "Noah." Ethan nodded. "Want soup?" Noah nodded. Ethan understood. Life doesn't need to be perfect to begin helping someone. It only needs a pause before anger blinds you. If you hear this story and recognize that you're living by the word when I have enough money, when I'm good enough, when I'm confident enough, when I'm perfect enough, then tonight, try one very small thing. Want a little less. Begin something small while life is still unfinished, and practice peace right in the present. Because when the mind is at peace, the world is at peace. Not because the world changes, but because you change how tightly you hold. If you want me to tell another story set in the West, darker, deeper, more dramatic, leave the word "and" in the comments. So I know you're still listening.